Again, good evening. Happy Sabbath. We will not have the second song, but we will just have the message today. I just made a title, War, Famine, and Pestilence. Pestilence. What is the differences? You see something is different from the ordinary the speaking. What was the different? What was missing and what was there now? It seems everything is there, or something is missing and something is add up here. Wars and yes, war is here. Now before, what was there instead of war? Earthquake. Remember that now? Yes. Okay. Can you read it together?
For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
Yes. The one I understood before, nation will rise against the nation, because the word of against, which is epi. Epi means which is over something. So I was thinking nation over nation, kingdom over kingdom, famine, pestilence, and earthquake will come. So I understood that way. So I didn't even count about the war. Because nation will rise against the nation. Actually, all the interpreter for three Bible, which is Matthew, Mark, Luke, they also or interpret it as they fighting each other. But I didn't do it because epi doesn't mean that actually. But I don't know, somehow, when they come together with a rise against a rise epi, it become kind of war now. So, at the end of the pandemic, when the war between Russia and Ukraine first started February 24, 2022, I was thinking it would be a matter of time, and I was thinking that will be finished very early, because the ending time, I didn't interpret this as a war. However, if you look at the WHO graph, you can see that there has been ending since January 22, the corona was about to the end. And on May 6, 2023, the WHO lifted the coronavirus emergency case. So when you see this, when was the last peak? Was January 2022. Then after that, everything goes and dismiss everything. Well, so I was thinking, earthquake, pestilence, and famine is the last three option and last three event that the last days will be starting. But famine is not coming yet, but war is coming. I was thinking what's going on, and I studied the Bible again. Well, but anyway, if the kingdom against the kingdom, nation against the nation, if this is the one of the symptom or the one of the sign that the ending time, which is the last days begun, we can consider it the Ukraine and the Russian war as also another event of the last days. Yes, I was thinking this will be ending very soon, but little later, Israel and Hamas start to fight, and Gaza become like this. Well, this time, Houthis continue to attack any commercial ship or battleship. They keep on trying to attack. So what happened? The US military tried to be patient for quite long. But after third attack, they engage fighting with the Houthis too. Well, not only Houthis, but the UK, which is United Kingdom, also tried to fight against the Houthis and Iran. The Houthis say that US and UK will pay heavy price. Well, if you see the map, about 30% of container or the commercial boat is passing the Red Sea. And there's a country of Yemen here. And Houthis is keep on launching the missile or the drones to the vessel which is passing very narrow way. Well, do you think only this will be happen and will be end? Well, South Korea and North Korea, I don't expecting that we are going to fight each other or make a war. But this time, North Korea and South Korea, both of them, showing enmity each other very aggressively. Both party before agree that they are not going to fire any firearms in the zone nearby the boundary, and we call that September 19 agreement of military. But both parties actually stop and say that we are not going to consider that agreement anymore. Yes, it is a big problem because North Korea is alliances with the China and the South Korea alliances with America. So if America has a war in Pakistan, they're asking us to be joining and we must go because we have partnership that any country invade, then automatically the other country will be engaged for the war. So if South Korea has kind of war, then it is really sure that not only South Korea or North Korea, but China and US will be engaging, and that means you know what, isn't it? Well, yesterday there was another news that another war begun between Pakistan and Iran. Have you heard about this news? No? They launched missiles each other's territory. So many wounded and many died too. And now it is a very trigger now in Middle East because Iran and Pakistan, they are actually both are Muslim. But the way they believe Muslim are different. Iran is very aggressive. Pakistan is not. But Pakistan, their military much stronger than the Iran. Well, only this is the ongoing between the war? No. Iran and Israel also fighting this time. Well, because the Iran attacked Israel Mossad, the headquarters. Mossad is like a CIA of Israel, which is located in the Iraq. So now Iraq is also get angry to the Iran. Why? Because they attack and launch the missile to the boundary of the Iraq. It says that Iran bombs the Mossad headquarters in Iraq in revenge attack. Well, do you think this is the only tension going on? It's not. Well, the new elected president of Taiwan was the man who is near to the America, not with the China. Before China spoke this way, if anyone against the China and he will become a leader, there is no peace, but we will have a war immediately. But since the one will be the party who likes the America instead of China, the China speaking something strange like this. We are one, and we should be united one as peaceful way. Well, it seems good, isn't it? Sounds good. But we must remember that when the communists say that we will be in peace, it means the war. Before Russia attacked Ukraine, then they speak also same way. We never willing to attack. We love the peace. Then immediately, when they are not ready, the Russia started the war. So now more on people thinking that the way Chinese speaking gently to the Taiwan is because they are really planning the war. Well, they are engaged the war, then US will be engaged with it. Now, we are saying that not only we are the one who say that, in the US, they are speaking inside that we are losing control of the world. Because too many boundaries, they need to be engaged, and it is almost impossible to engage all the world by US alone. As you know, China and the Philippines, how's your relationship? Is that good or bad? Yes. So now, between the nation and kingdom, the war is begin, and it seems that this will not be end easily. The God is speaking in Leviticus chapter 26 about three major plagues that He's going to give. That is what? War, pestilence, and famine. Can you read it?
And I will bring a sword against you that will execute the vengeance of the covenant. When you are gathered together within your cities, I will send pestilence among you, and you shall be delivered into the hand of the enemy. When I have cut off your supply of bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall bring back your bread by weight, and you shall eat and not be satisfied.
That's right. So they have oven every house, but they don't have a flour. So what they do, they gather each other. And they weighing before make a bread. Oh, you only 2 grams, you 5 grams, you 10 grams. So after they gather 10 women, and when they distribute also by the gram, they distribute. That is a famine. And it says a pestilence. And what is the other one? The war. That's right. Hmm? So every time when Israelites against the God gives the three major punishment. That is the war, pestilence, and famine. In the Bible, we always say that. If we see this in the Bible, it always combine three together. And in the last day, what will be added up here? This is the earthquake in the last days. So actually, these three is always combined. And for the last days event, God is preparing the earthquake, which is a nationwide, not only nationwide, worldwide earthquake. But we must know that the pestilence, sometimes it translates as a plague. But when I check the words, the original is a deber. Deber, which is a pestilence, means. So we can see that pestilence here, the original word in Hebrew is a deber. Deber. Okay, let's try to check up in 2 Samuel. Can you read it together?
So Gad came to David and told him, and he said to him, shall 7 years of famine come to you in your land? Or shall you flee 3 months before your enemies while they pursue you? Or shall there be 3 days plague in your land? Now consider and see what I should take back to him who sent me.
Yes, that plague, when I check the original language, is a deber, which is the same as the pestilence. So, you see what is there? The famine and the enemy, which is the sword, the war, and the pestilence is there. This is happening when who is the most great king in the history of Israel? David, yes. And David, one day, he see the kingdom. That's what Nebuchadnezzar did later. And he see many people. Because all the battle David engaged, he won. So he was so proud. His kingdom is so big. Now, he's going to count the people. How many people I have? God was angry because his motive of counting the man was really bad. And the prophet God, GAD, came to him and said that you choose among three, which is going to be famine for 7 years, or 3 months that you will be run, pursue you by the enemies, or the plague, which is a pestilence. What did David choose? He said, I don't want to put on the hands of man, but I want to be put on your hands. So God sent the pestilence. Well, so we can see here also war, pestilence, and famine comes out together. So these three things is never separate. All the things in the Bible, these things, three major is coming together. This is the prayer of the Solomon. He prayed that like this. Can you read it? Okay, can you read it?
Is there a famine in the land? Pestilence or blight or mildew, locust or grasshoppers, when their enemy besieges them in the land of their cities. Whatever plague or whatever sickness there is, whatever prayer, whatever supplication is made by anyone, or by all your people Israel, when each one knows the plague of his own heart, and spreads out his hands toward this temple, then hear in heaven your dwelling place, and forgive and act, and give to everyone according to all his ways, whose heart you know. For you alone know the hearts of all the souls of men.
Yes. So even the Solomon prayed that when there is a famine, pestilence, or the war, Lord, if my people remember you and pray, please deliver them from the danger. Because this is the what Solomon understand, and the three things God gives them as a punishment. Okay. These three punishments never end until when? Even until the Israel destroyed. Can you read it?
And I will send the sword, the famine, and the pestilence among them, till they are consumed from the land that I gave to them and their fathers.
Yes. So we can see also war, pestilence, and famine comes, isn't it? Well, our God never change. When He shows that I am engaging with your disaster, He keep on sending the war, pestilence, and the famine. Yes, we know that Jesus never changed it. Jesus Christ is same yesterday, today, and forever. So the way He punished His people also same. So we understand that in Matthew chapter 24, which is a war, famine, and pestilence, it's not just come out, pop up by itself. It was from the Old Testament. It keep on showing by the God that when God is calling us and we need to return to the God, He's sending those things. Well, by these three things, He's just to add up the earthquake so that we will distinguish that event from other event. Well, do you remember when we had coronavirus? Everybody's so afraid, isn't it? Yes. Worldwide pestilence, God gave the disease in the world, and God is keep on asking us to combat. It seems none of us, or in this world, doesn't have willing to go back to the God. The people is easy to say that this is a natural cause. And because this is the overheat of the world, global warming, this is happening. But in the Bible, He says that the region have the disaster because of this. Can you read it?
But if you will not listen to me and carry out all these commands, and if you reject my decrees and honor my laws and fail to carry out all my commands, and so violate my covenant.
That's right. And then the disaster starts. So the disaster is not coming, the war, famine, like pestilence, not just coming, but God says that because you not listen to me and carry out all these commands, well, the listen is a shama and carry out is asa. Do you remember anything from this word? Have you heard about shama, shamar, asa? What is that? Asa. Asa is do. So what, because of what is, yeah, that's right. Because they don't have a faith, it comes out. How are we going to be saved? Through faith. But if they lost the faith, that is the time that God gives the war, pestilence, and famines. Do you understand? Yes. When we don't have a faith, proper faith, and God start to punish their people. Although I spank you, I will try to correct you. When Kian is not listening properly, do you spank Kian also? Not spank? Also Nikki no never spank? Scold them lang. Ah, okay. Okay, well, the Bible says this way. Can you read it?
He who withholds his rod hates his son. But he who loves him disciplines him diligently.
So what does it mean? You spank, yes, yes. Actually, I spank. I spank them to make them more disciplined and make a good person. Even now, Rocky is a 14 or 15, I still spank them, but I don't spank them with my emotion. I let them sit and listen, and I speak and warn many times. Very frankly, I warn them. You do this one more time, I'm gonna punish you. I'm gonna spank you. I keep on saying that, and when the time comes, I just say that bring the stick, and I spank, and they know what is their fault. They're asking for the apology, and they never do that again. Well, they do that again, but not really often as before. Yes. I spank my children not because I hate them, but because I love them. Sometimes one spank is much better than you speak 1,000 speak. So just the one strike will be change a person. Well, when God is saying to us like this way, meaning to say He is going to spank or not, He's also going to spank. Yes. But the problem is when these are the things happening, we just consider as this is a coincidence, and Satan makes us to think that way. But we need to remember, our life is depends on God. Without His will, without His permission, no one is going to be suffer war, pestilence, or famines, and they killed. The Bible clearly speaks this way. Can you read it?
Are not two sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will?
Meaning to say, no one dies without the permission of the God. This is a principle in the Bible. Either you believe or not, no one will die in here tonight without the willingness of the God or permission from the God. Why? Because God tried to save the people more and more people. Yes. So what we can know, the war between Israel and Hamas, or the Iran or Pakistan, the US or the Houthis, any kind of war now, Ukraine and Russia, it is not just to happen, but there was a permission to let us know that it is a time to return to Him. Yes, we must not remember that we are living in the last days. And in the last day, the definition from the Bible is so simple. Can you read it?
But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days.
Yes. I was asking this morning to the office, and also yesterday I asked to others, do you think before Corona and after Corona, which is more peaceful time? What do you think? Before or after? Before, yes. Before, it was much safer. Now, it is not safe anymore. When I traveled the world, I was feeling kind of sense that they're gonna fight soon. And this world will destroy everything. Well, this terrible, we need to see it. This word is a kalepos. Kalepos is come out only twice in the Bible. Where is this kalepos coming out? This means like a terrible, fierce, harsh, perilous, savage. So this means of terrible is not really good meaning. This means like out of control actually. So this word is coming out here in fierce. Can you read it?
When he had come to the other side, to the country of there met him two demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way.
Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, this area, Gergesenes, there, Gergesenes, there team two demon-possessed men coming out from of the tomb, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. So this fierce is the same way, same word which is kalepos, which is a perilous time come, terrible time come, which is the last day. That terrible, that word is the same with these fears. So it was the beginning of the path in our lives that no one could pass for fear. That is the last days. Do you understand? That is the last days means that because these two demon-possessed men, no one wanted to pass that way. Same way that we are going to face now, living in the last days. We understand even the last days has begun. I also have no way but to confess that I didn't totally give up my sin and I didn't rely on God alone. But what about us now? Are we just to continue live like this? It will be okay that we live as before. I want to also speak about good things for the future. I want to also give you very good message that you will feel happy after the meeting. But Ellen G. White speaking this way, after the probation closes, after the mercy and grace period gone, the people will speak against their own pastor this way. Can you read it?
All unite in heaping their bitterest condemnation upon the ministers. Unfaithful pastors have prophesied smooth things. They have led their hearers to make void the law of God and to persecute those who would keep it holy. Now in their despair, these teachers confess before the world their work of deception. The multitudes are filled with fury. We are lost, they cry, and you are the cause of our ruin. And they turn upon the false shepherds, the very ones that once admired them most, will pronounce them most dreadful curses upon them. The very hands that once crowned them with laurels will be raised for their destruction. The swords which were to slay God's people are now employed to destroy their enemies.
That's right. When they know that they have no more chance. When they know that they were deceived by their pastors. Their pastors are saying good things. It's okay. Jesus did die for you, so you can sin it. Never mind. And what they did? They led their hearers to make void the law of God and to persecute those who would keep it holy. The people outside, they will get angry to their pastors. Now they are going to against their own pastor when they know that they are lost at all. And they cry. And then they against their pastors. Well, in this moment, any leader or the pastor speaking to you that the future you will have a peaceful time, you must escape from him. Because I don't see any kind of evidence from the Bible that we will have peaceful time again. Why? Because when we say peace and safety, the perilous time has begun as it was written in the Bible. When we say that I believe God, it meaning to say I believe the word. And we must have faith on the word. When we say that I believe the word, meaning to say I follow the word. That's why what Jesus says like this. Can you read it?
You do not believe, because you are not of my sheep. As I said to you, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me.
That's right. The people who do not believe, you are not of my sheep. So God is saying that those people who not believe him is not his sheep. Although they claim that I'm yours, it's not. He is making sure that my sheep hear my voice, meaning to say they have a faith and follow me. Yes, they have a faith. So those who doesn't have a faith is not the people of God. Well, important thing is like this. The pathway that we can follow, the way might not easy. Sometimes we need to give up our life, like a time of Corona. We gather, although we have exposed to the danger of the pestilence that we are going to have. To follow his word, we need to have the practice. So, the people who can walk in the last days is not with their brave heart, or they force it by themselves, but it comes out only the way of trust him. The Bible says this way. Can you read it?
Many sorrows shall be to the wicked, but he who trusts in the Lord, mercy shall surround him.
The only way we can have trust in God is by practicing and building up our faith in him. The faith or trust is not built up just one day. Every day we listen his word and we must follow it. We must not postpone it. One day I will follow. No. When you hear, you should follow immediately. And you should practice it every day. As we listen to his words and do it, we will see it work. And we will have trust in him. For example, like this. We gather in his words. And when we know that no one was transmitted with the corona, and our trust in him grows, regardless of the situation we are in right now. Yes. So this practice never will be done if we don't try it. So when you have a faith, you should bet your life. So only those people who bet his life before can bet his life again in the time of last days. Even if our lives are not going the way we want them to right now, even if we are in the midst of the struggles right now and seems to be living in the wilderness, if God has already been through this way that I am going to go through and has led me down that path, then surely the path that is for my good will be the path of the day. So meaning to say like this. In the Deuteronomy we are going to read that it says that he already been there the way we will go. So he is always knows that what will be happen in our future and which path we must pass. So even I am in trouble, I believe that God is with me and he is leading me with good ways, then I will not be afraid. So we need to be sure that God is directing my path today. Are you confident that God is directing your life right now? What do you think? Do you think God is really leading your life now, this moment? What do you think? Yes? If not, we will be stumble in this last day. Because only those people who has a faith, perfect faith in Him, will believe He is with me. If you don't believe He is with you, then you cannot overtake the perilous time. Can you read it?
The Lord your God goes before you. He will fight for you according to all he did for you in Egypt before your eyes, and in the wilderness where you saw how the Lord your God carried you, as a man carries his son, and all the way that you went until you came to this place.
Yes. When God brought them to the Israel people to the Israel, the Canaan, land of Canaan, before that, the Moses is speaking, God is the one who brought you up to this point. And he is saying that. He said, God who goes before you. Meaning to say, the way Israel people walk, God already been there. So in other words, the future that we are going to walk, even that is the future for the dying for the Jesus. Jesus already passed and he chose that way for myself and yourself, that this is the best way for you. So in case your family will bankrupt, in case even you lost everything, that path, you must have a faith that God chose for me. And you should accept it as the willing of God. Can you do it? Well, try to think. When Israel people complain, when they have no more water, no more food, isn't it? Is that hour of God went somewhere, or still God is with them? Yes. The people who has no confidence God is with me now, the people who is not connected with God today. How can you be connected with God today? We can be connected only the word of God and the prayer. Who is not belongs to the word or the prayer today, never ever get through the last days. Well, I should show you some maps here. When in Egypt, in front of the Red Sea here, this is the Red Sea, and that is a Suez Canal that all the ship is passing there. Okay. There is a small place, we call that Nuweiba. Nuweiba means that water split. Water split. So, this island, this place, this is not island, this place, from the Gosen from there, Egypt, where the Israel people depart, up to here, you know how many kilometers? This is about 300 kilometers, 360 kilometers straight way. But when I see the Bible and the way the Israel people pass was not the straight way, but there was rooming going there and then suddenly goes down. So it will be about 400 kilometers. Well, and there is some interesting story when Egyptian soldiers come up to here and when they follow to cross the Red Sea. Can you read it?
Now it came to pass in the morning watch that the Lord looked down upon the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he troubled the army of the Egyptians, and he took off their chariot wheels, so that they drove them with difficulty. And the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the face of Israel." The Lord fights for them against the Egyptians.
Yes. The Egyptian is well known with the chariot. And what happened? God troubled the army of Egyptian and he took off their chariot's wheel. So how we know this place, Nuebeia, is the place that has passed by the Israel people, because when you dive it, you can see this still, the hill is up there. You can see the shape of the hill. This is the hill, the shape of the hill. So that place, when they cross it, when they come there, you can still see the shape of the hill still exist. One thing we understand, they could pass there is because only that area is shallow, no other area. Other Red Sea is more than 1,000 meters. Well, when we see this, with the evidence that coming out from the Red Sea, it is very sure that Israelites, they passed that way. But the problem is what? The distance. The Bible described that more than 2 million Israel people, including the children, they reached to this point about 400 kilometers for how many days? Only 3 days. 3 days. Can you read it?
Then the children of Israel moved from Ramses and camped at Sukkot. They departed from Sukkot and camped at Etham,
Sukkot.
which is on the edge of the wilderness. They moved from Etham and turned back to Behaira, which is east of Baal Zephon, and they camped near Migdol.
Yes. Migdol is important, so you just remember the Migdol. Yes. That is a Sukkot, where Ramses and the camped at Sukkot. They departed from the Sukkot and the camped at Edom, which is the edge of the wilderness. They moved from the Edom to turn back to Pihariot, which it is east of Baal Zephon, and they camped near Migdol. Yes. So we understand that Migdol is the place where they camped. So it says this way. Can you read it?
Speak to the children of Israel that they turn and camp before Pihariot, between Migdol and the sea, opposite Baal Zephon. You shall camp before it by the sea.
Yes, that's right. So we understand they camped near to the sea. Well, try to think smart way. 2 million people, including children, also many cattle, sheep, goat, elderly. Is it possible to move that fast? 400 kilometers? The Korean Special Forces, they move even this kind of very good ground, 400 kilometers for how many days? 9 days. So what they do is that they walk about 50 kilometers per day. But Israeli people, they are not little. There are more than 2 million people. Yes, special forces also in US, they walk 60 miles for 2 days. It's about 100 kilometers for 2 days. So it meaning to say they also walk about 50 kilometers per day. This is best option. Who carry more, Israel people or they carry more? Israel people, yes. Yes. But the Bible clearly says that it took only 3 days up to the Nueva. Maybe they come out this way, isn't it? Israel people come out this way. So, when somebody is showing all the evidence and say that they really moved the 360 kilometers, I said, no, that's impossible. I deny it. More than 400 kilometers, 2 million people over, Israel people, only 3 days, and even they also camped for 3 days. and they walk, and they reach that place in 3 days, it is out of my common sense. The reason is like this. I judge it with my own common sense. But the Bible says this way. Can you read it?
God brings them out of Egypt. He has strength like a wild ox.
He has a strength like what? Wild oaks. Wild oaks. So I try to find out how the wild oaks can travel in a day. They can travel even 200 kilometers a day. So even when they come out for 3 days, Exodus has this kind of verses. Can you read it?
And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so as to go by day and night. He did not take the pillar of them by day or the pillar of fire by night
Yes,
from before the people.
that's right. So meaning to say they also walk in the nighttime. They also walk in the daytime. So let's just say day and night, they keep on walking. Let's just say, but how they will not tired, isn't it? But for 3 days record I see in the Bible, they never complain for the 3 days. They never ever complain. But in Isaiah record about their exodus like this. Can you read it?
Who led them through the deep as a horse in the wilderness, that they might not stumble, as a beast goes down into the valley, and the Spirit of the Lord causes him to rest. So you lead your people to make yourself a glorious name.
Yes. No one was a stumble, and they were like a horse in the wilderness. So meaning to say they move very fast as a horse. And they never get tired. They just come down. They walk like as a beast goes down into the valley. When they go down, is that easy, isn't it? That way, they walk that fast. Well, I was thinking, might be God gave them some strange power so that they can come out. Yes, there is some miracles while they are staying in the 40 years in the wilderness. The Bible says this way. Can you read it?
And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, and your sandals have not worn out on your feet.
Yes. God really cared for the older Israelites, so their sandal never worn out. Their clothes never worn out. Is it possible for 40 years? I don't think that is possible without the powerful God be there. Yes. For 3 nights and day until they reach this place, they never complain. They never asking food. They never asking for the water. Because God really gave them the power and He made them so easy to walk. So can you read it?
He also brought them out with silver and gold, and there was none feeble among his tribes.
Yes, there's a feeble or non-feeble. Non-feeble. No one was weak among them. That's the reason why when they crossed the Red Sea, and when they see the old Egyptian soldier was died by the power of God, and they praise the Lord this way. Can you read it?
The Lord is my strength and song.
And he has become my salvation.
He is my God, and I will praise him, my Father's God, and I will exalt him.
Yes. He says that God is our power and strength. This is not just spiritual strength, but this strength is also the strength in our real power. Well, I changed my mind. If God is with them, 400 kilometers is so easy for them. What do you think? Well, anyway, the Bible starts like this. Can you read it?
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Well, which is easier, create the world or He let the people walk for the 400 kilometers? Which is easier? Yes, walk is much easier. will. In other words, we believe in God who has no limit, so that those who hear his words and do it will soon be able to go to heaven. Well, we must not judge his word with our own common sense. What kind of God do we believe in? A God who operates within my common sense only, or a God who is beyond my common sense and even my imagination? What God do you serve today? No matter how much I try to deny the last days begun with the Bible, I only find that I cannot deny. Yes, last days begun, it is we cannot deny. And within this generation, Jesus will come. So what choice do we make now? Do we prepare for Jesus' return? Or do we just pretend it's not going to be happen or it's not happening? It's your choice today. And it's your call. I cannot speak that nothing will be happening in the future. But I can speak more perilous time will come. Then I hope you and I will stand. Believe the God who is out of our common sense. Believe the word because he spoke, foretold us everything. So that you and I will not lost in any way the way going to the heaven. Let's pray.